how do you stepping into with a relationship with somebody who's going through everything that Deb was going through at that time? Like, how do you even be present for somebody who's in a moment like that? I know that when it comes to being somebody who the community grows dependent on, when it comes to being somebody who's committed to having an impact on the people you serve, that life doesn't go without its challenges.
Knowing that my parents had the capacity to get me but so far, mentorship got me further.
Doorstep's motto is we have the ability to solve every problem that lands on our doorstep within our village, right? And we do have that ability.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of the Pancakes from Scratch Podcast. My name is Ernest Comer III. I love having good conversations with good people. Today is no exception to the rule, except we went above and beyond today. We got two of the Twin Cities most dope, I would say. I have to argue that, Deb and Zakia, I don't know, man. Y'all kind of creme de la creme when it comes to good people doing good things out there. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I really appreciate, the way y'all step up and show out, just consistent. I'm talking about years of consistent presence in community and making things happen for people. Yeah, man. Y'all are it.
Thank you. Thank you. Look, we do what we can when we can do it. We do what we can do when we can do it.
She said.
That's a bet, man. So before we really dig into the conversation, I like to kick us off with just what's giving you energy this week. I want to know what's giving both of y'all energy this week as we get things going.
For me, it's watching her do her thing this week, the last couple of weeks, as she prepares for Zeta Regional Conference here in the Twin Cities, which hasn't been here since like 2008, 2009. Over 1,200 of her sorority sisters are coming, and her team have been working tirelessly to make this a special occasion, not only for us locals who get to witness Greek culture, but her sorority sisters who all get to come in from different parts of the Midwest region that'll get a taste of Minnesota from a Zeta Black Greek Twin Cities perspective. So I'm very proud of watching her do her thing, man. I get to sit back and watch a boss be a boss up close and personal, So that's been giving me energy. I've kind of cleared my calendar to be at her beck and call all week as she needs me to pick up this, drop off that. I forgot this, go get her from there. So the car is clean, gassed up and ready to go.
I love it.
Yes. And for me, it's funny because that is part of it. But what's fueling me now is like getting my feet back up under me. So it's like having a clear, concrete, I'll just say schedule and routine. So getting back to my routine to try to ease into the week, because people start coming today, although we don't have much to do, but people are starting to come into town and you have to be mentally prepared. And I don't like to be overwhelmed and frazzled. So I, like last night, sat down and did things that I needed to get done to kind of set the foundation for the week going well. So habits and routines is what's fueling me now.
Good. Set yourself up for success as a boss would. Okay.
Yes, indeed.
I love it. Good stuff, man. And so it's the Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Let me not get the name. Let me get the whole name correct.
Right. And your Sigmas will be here too.
Beautiful. I love it.
Yep.
I love it. That's the Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. We're gonna show up and show out, do a little something.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So man, you said 1,200 people coming?
1,200 sorors and I think 200 youth.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, or 80 youth and then some adult auxiliaries. So we're gonna have a bunch of people here.
That's beautiful. Y'all set it on out there.
Right. That's the goal.
Listen, y'all making it happen. Y'all putting work in. Y'all putting work in for real. Cause 1,200, that number don't just pop up like
Right.
get people to show up.
Yeah, we sold out. Had to reopen registration. So
now listen, we talking about selling out an event in the Twin Cities.
Right.
And Deb, if anybody know.
I do know that work only a couple of times in my younger years to that extreme where the numbers reached 1,000 at a venue where we were sold out. Those were mostly concerts. A couple of longevity nights like the Cotton Club and Takeover and, the Jump Off, Super Friends, Happy Hour. But on that scale, a number of concerts in the Club Elegant that number resonates in that era, which is late 90s, early 2000s. So
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait a minute, late 90s. Okay, so this is post Freaknik, ain't it? That's post Freaknik.
Look, it's post Freaknik and Freaknik to no avail when it comes to me. I wasn't even walking the Atlanta grounds doing it. I've heard the stories. I saw videotape of brothers who came back from the Shy from Freaknik, big VCR camcorder type. I see that, but yeah.
I got you. I want to be, cautious. I don't know if he was gonna pop up on this Netflix special or not, man. I just wanted to.
Not your boy. I'm bald head with a goatee. There'll be several lookalikes, I'm sure. I'm still getting confused with Dame Dash right now. But it is not I.
I got you. That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
Yeah, I can honestly say I've never had the experience. So
it's all good. It's all good. You still young, brother.
Man, from your lips to God's ears.
That's it. Amen. We got time. Listen, man, I appreciate y'all just making some time to be on here with me. I try to get folks together who I know are doing some really powerful stuff in community. And like I said, y'all are no exception to the rule. What's special about this episode and a couple others I've done before now is that I made an effort to intentionally bring together what I would consider power couples, right? And, the conversation has happened a few times now. And what I focus on is this idea of, not necessarily being a power couple because of, the wealth or influence that you have, but being a power couple because of the power that the community has when you're together. And I think there's some really strong notes to take from that idea that I hope folks carry with them. But for you too, I'm super curious about what brought you together, right? Like, how did you connect with one another, and what is it that makes you so impactful as a couple?
I'll let him tell the story. It's gonna be like Martin and Gina.
Okay.
We met at a friend's happy hour, had some jokes, some conversations. I thought she was cute, thought she was funny, sounded very intelligent, easygoing. And then she told me where she lived, and she was like, Blaine. And I was like, I don't go to Blaine for nobody. And she's like, ain't nobody asking you to. That was the end of that conversation.
Yeah.
That was October. Came the New Year's Day, a picture of her and some other folks popped up on my timeline. So a picture of some other folks popped up who were friends of me on social media. And then I noticed to the right, that looked like the lady I met back in October. Jumped in her, she was tagged in it. I jumped in her DM.
Boom.
Just like that. Yep. And we started talking, dating, and been inseparable since.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
There's something to be said about letting them slide in the DM.
Come on now.
Hey, all the other things line up, you know, compatibility, likeness, fondness for each other, right timing, right space to where you're at mentally, you know. Yeah, and I was casually dating at the time and made that clear, and she was too, but she said something very profound, and I'll let her say what she said to me that day when we went on our date.
Okay.
Look, I'm trying to remember, because I always tell people the same thing. It's like, what was it, the single? I forgot what I said.
Still she not, and she looking for her.
Oh, forever plus one. Yeah.
Plus one.
So, but everybody can't carry that role. So it's like, we'll do this until for me, I always say, till the wheels fall off. It's like, it's going to work until it don't. Or if it keep working, then we can, you know, see how far it can go. Yep. So what's funny is I would always fly out the date, or they would fly in. He made it so couldn't nobody fly in.
Oh,
no space.
It was over.
Not in a bad way. It was just, oh, okay, he's still around. Like, yeah, it was no time to date anybody else.
When Vince Carter won the slunk damn contest, the dunk contest, and did this, like it's over. It was over. You know what I mean? For everybody. For everybody. You got to use your freaking 5 miles somewhere else, bro.
Y'all better figure it out. I don't know what to tell you. You can't go home.
You can't come here.
Can't come here.
You can't come here. You can go home. You can't come here no more.
You ain't got to go home, but you can't come here.
Can't come here. Yeah. I cleared the airport.
That's it. I love it.
Because she made dating her easy and fun. She made it relatable because the pressure wasn't there to, oh, you're cute, let's go get married. And we had talked that previous summer, I just went through a divorce, dealing with my kids, you know, finding themselves again and getting reattached to all of that. And so it was really just about having the ability to walk into my relationship with her, knowing that there was no pressure, right? So no pressure. I didn't have to create red flags in my head like we sometimes do. Oh, she trying to make me marry her. We only been dating 3 years. You know how people say 3 years later, right? Yeah. But in the beginning, she was honest and authentic in the conversation of, this is where we're both at. And we'll talk to each other. If one of the other person's feeling changes, we got to bring it up, right? So I had experienced a couple of tragedies at that time. And the one at the time when we really started going out, spending time together, was my mom had passed. And she flew into Chicago to see me while I was there trying to make arrangements for my mama's funeral. My dad had the previous month had just got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I had their hospice, their care plan set up where my dad was in the room at the place where my mom passed. So that accelerated his dementia. So I'm trying to find placement for dad and physical therapy. The previous month, December, my daughter's mom had passed. So I was coming back to Minnesota, going to Chicago, coming back from February 10th to April 4th. I was on the road, plane, train, automobile. You know, she picked me up or dropped me off at Amtrak, picked up, dropped my daughter off. When she flew in, she was just flying in for a day to hang out with me. And I enjoyed the company. I asked her to stay. She was able to stay. I took her around my family, and that was it for them. They all snatched her up.
His uncle said, if you don't want her, I do. He's only been about 6 weeks. You don't, but mind you, he's married to his aunt. Uh-huh. And the aunt was like,
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's
right. Right.
And like literally everybody in the room was drawn to her the minute she walked into the door. You know, because they had never even been around any of the women I've dated, except for they met my wife at the wedding, my previous ex-wife at the wedding. But like, you know, growing up in Chicago, I didn't take women around my family unless it was serious. You know what I mean? My firstborn son, you know, Yogi, DJ's mom, DJ's mom, they met her years ago. He's 32. But like in between there was nobody else really to meet. So for them to have seen her in the family's house, and then, you know, my Uncle Homer, I know a good girl when I see one, you know, and that just lit the fire for everybody else. My favorite aunt was like, don't bring no more girls around my house if it ain't her. I was like, I ain't never brought no girls around your house, so that's not gonna be hard. So they just got on me. But my uncle, rest in peace, my Uncle Arthur, pulled me aside and he was like, you know, I don't get in your business. I was there for your first wedding. I love this one right here. It's just something about it. And that's all he said and walked away. That's all he said. And the rest is history. The rest is history.
Man, listen, when the family step in and take ownership.
Yeah. I mean, even more so than that, after that, it just got bigger as my daughter, when she picked us up one time coming from the airport, her and my daughter hung out. And then later on that day, when her and my daughter got to hanging out, my daughter was like, I like her, Dad. You should date her. I said, you think so? Maybe I will. She was like, don't act like I don't know y'all ain't dating already. I was like, well, you know, with your mom passed, and then there was a lot of separation between that time frame. But, you know, how do you feel and just getting divorced a year ago, how do you feel? She was like, I really like her. I like her for you. Plus, you're clingy. So if you start dating her, you'll stop being so clingy to me.
She said, this look like freedom. This look like freedom.
Exactly. This is like freedom, you know. And they all, you know, all my kids saw me happy with her, you know, where there was a struggle at that time. So it was a blessing that I didn't ignore. Again, one of those things that sometimes as humans, we can get in our own way. So I didn't ignore the how would you say, the permission to date her from the kids and the being ordered by the villagers, my family.
Yep.
Like, that's the one. I didn't ignore the signs.
That's it. That's beautiful, man. That was Zakia. How do you stepping into with a relationship with somebody who's going through everything that Deb was going through at that time? Like, how do you even be present for somebody who's in a moment like that?
Natural. It's natural. So you do know I'm a therapist by trade, right? So that helped. Yeah. I'm a therapist by trade. Although I am not practicing now, I'm still, I'm a tenured faculty, teaching pre-social workers. But it's also just authentically me. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you're not faking who you are when it's who you are. That's who I am at my core. If somebody has, you know, somebody's going through something, if somebody has a need, I'm just there. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's to say absolutely nothing. You know, it's just to be there and be a support, or, you know, seeing what they possibly may need and just trying to, you know, fill in those gaps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it wasn't hard.
That's all right. Man, I love it. I love it. But so here's what I know. I know that when it comes to being somebody who the community grows dependent on, when it comes to being somebody who's committed to having an impact on the people you serve, that, you know, life doesn't go without its challenges. So I want to know if there's a challenge that just sticks out in your mind as something that you experienced that really shaped or helped to shape who you became so that you could thrive in the work that you do.
I can think of one for me. And we're talking doorstep strictly. We're not talking all the other things we're involved. Because then we'd be like on this podcast. From a doorstep perspective, I was frustrated with being in my 4th, 5th, coming into my 6th year of serving and mentoring people here in the Twin Cities, still paying out of pocket, right? No funding, no grants, no some, you know, I'll say it, white guilt money coming my way or anything to that nature. I had people in positions of power and authority seeing the work, pat me on the back when they saw me out socially, calling me to tell me, that's my nephew in your group. I've seen him grow. That's my nephew. Hey, you're working with my niece over at that school you're at. I didn't know you mentor girls too. She talks about how much she loves your group, blah, 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 blah. And I was so angry at one point that no one said, hey, how can I just pay for meals? You know, because that stuff was coming out of my pocket. And then one of the guys that I talk to, we get in each other's face every week because he's doing the same work and we were facing the same struggles. Shout out to my guy, Mike Shelton, who helps keep me grounded in this work, where we both were vocalizing our frustration, and then it just popped in my head. Mike kept saying, it'll come, Deb. Everybody know you, it'll come. And then I was like, you know what? I got to approach this how I did entertainment when I first came here. I got to make them want to work with me as opposed to me so-called chasing them. And then I had to also realize I didn't have all my ducks in a row on the back end either. So had someone came up and said, I have $1 million grant for you right now. I need your 501c3, your LLC, your bank account, your this, and this. I would have done the, oh, well, let me get back to you in about a week and then go back and scramble, right? Yeah. So once I realized and said that to myself, like, you're not prepared anyway if they were ready, I brought it down. Then, of course, we met, we're dating. She loves the work. She's stepping in, helping. And we started doing all of those back end things, all those things behind the scenes. You know, I'm front of the house, she's back of the house. And she started putting all of those things together that I didn't have time and or the bandwidth and or the knowledge to do. So my weaknesses were her strengths. She came and got everything in the back of the house in order. And I started maneuvering in a different way, knocking on doors, sending emails, playing tapes over in my head, going through those stack of unwanted business cards. You know, everybody has your card. You're like, one of these days I'll use it. And things started just happening from there. So that was one of those things where I stopped being mad at everybody else and took a look inward, because it started here, right? I wasn't prepared. Doorstep wasn't prepared. At the time as she came on board, now we weren't prepared, but she was like, I'm going to do this over here. You keep doing that. I have this, you got that, watch it come together. And boom, now we're in 4 counties, the big 3 and another county. So like you could literally say we're probably, if they did the numbers, one of the fastest growing. I know we're in the top 10 fastest growing, what would be considered small business mom and pop entity, and in the field of mentoring kids, social service kind of work. Yep. You know, because it just in 2 years, we've managed to get into the big 3 counties and a 4th one.
That's great. Okay. Light work. I got you.
You know.
So behind the scenes, there was like, I want to say he probably had, I don't even know who created it. It was just like a minor form of, oh, this is what I've done. This was just a little quick synopsis. So going into meetings, I've run businesses before. I've run multi-million-dollar human services organizations, but have never started them from scratch. So it's like, if you give me something, I can go, but starting from scratch was a big challenge for me, because you don't know what funders are necessarily looking for when you're trying to get grants. Because at first we did try getting grants and stuff, but then it just so happened we started getting contracts. So I put together the pamphlet, the contract, the like everything they need. Oh, what you need? Oh, okay, I can get that for you. Here you go. Here you go. So starting from scratch and then building it to what it is today, we don't have a whole lot of questions back and forth about, okay, I need this, I need this, I need this. Oh, you need this W-9? Here you go. Oh, you need the, our contract language? Here you go. Oh, you need information? Here you go.
You need data? Here you go.
Right.
We have all of those.
We have everything in place now. So
and we have most things in place. What we could use, and this is a shameless plug, some qualified male and female individuals that love working with kids, want to work with kids, and can pass a background check and are willing to learn how to do it the Doorstep way. Not the way you did it at any other previous organization, but the Doorstep way.
In those 4 counties, what were the 4 counties?
Anoka, Ramsey, Hennepin, and Dakota.
Boom. All right, so Anoka, Ramsey, Hennepin, Dakota, if y'all are out there, come on with it.
Come on with it. We're turning down opportunities. And when I speak on the opportunity, I want people to understand it's twofold. We're turning down job opportunities for sustainable living, some residual income, but we're also turning down opportunities to help our community. We're also turning down opportunities to be better humans and helping the current generation solve some of their issues, get a better understanding of life, learn some soft and some hard skills, and be able to pay it forward. Because we can be social media advocates all the time. We can gripe and have an opinion about every time there's a loss of life and another loss of life in terms of going to jail behind it. And the things that happen in between, the car stealing, the shoplifting, the gang banging, those things. We could be doing so much more than making a couple of quick comments on social media about y'all need to stop. Well, they're not the ones, they're not on your friend list. So that fell on deaf ears. They're not in your circle. The work is done, is boots on the ground, in the parks, in the churches, in the schools, on your block, and all in community. So you don't have to go and try to start something that you don't have a real passion for, because it's a lot of work trying to start up an organization. I see it all the time. People, I'm going to start. And my first suggestion is go work with someone first to find out just how in-depth this work is, just how hard, how long the days are, to know if you could do this full-time or even partly full-time, when it just may be your lane to go in and assist with your time, your talent, and your treasures. That way you're not taking on something that you're going to go in full steam ahead for 6 months and then fizzle out the first time it gets pulled. Or the first time you don't get the grant you thought you were going to get. Or they give you the grant and then it's done. They meant, they'll say, oh yeah, after we get done with this, we'll talk about more funding. Well, they did a one and done. Funding ran out. The organization went left. They changed their model, a number of things. Then what do you do? I see so many people start with good intentions and fizzle out because it's a labor of love and you got to have thick skin. Kids love me. Well, I'm not talking about your nieces and your nephews. We're talking about kids that have trauma, generational trauma, current trauma,
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a real thing, man. It takes serious work. So please know it's appreciated above and beyond, because I recognize that the work that it takes goes above and beyond, man. Y'all really making it happen. Now, Dave, you talked about that challenge that helped shape you, but Zakia, let us know. Is there something that sticks out in your mind as like an experience you had that really helped to shift just how you operate?
I want to say, knowing that my parents had the capacity to get me but so far, mentorship got me further, right? So seeing other people do what I thought I wanted to do, like, oh, my mom didn't go to college. She graduated high school. Her main thing was I just want you to get out of high school without getting pregnant. Because that was more than what she did. I was at her high school graduation. So the bar was not set high.
It's all right.
The bar wasn't set high, but for her, it's better than what I did. I had to look at other people, right? And other people would kind of give me an idea of what it is I thought that I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to go to college, but it's like, okay, well, I have to fill out these forms. Or, how do you go out for grants and scholarships? Do I even go out for grants and scholarships? What do I want to go to school for? What do I want to do when I'm done? I always knew that I would be in the helping profession. I always knew that because I was just always that type of person. Did I think it would be to this magnitude? Nope, I did not. I thought I would just be, I would get to be a director of a program and then I was fine with that. But I did that by the time I was like 29. And it was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is cool. So then once the opportunity came to cross over, never thought that I would be in higher ed. Now I'm like, oh, I see how people can get here and they do this forever. Because it is a beautiful thing. So at the same time, I'm able to mentor other people coming into the field and help mold their opinions and their minds about working with our youth and working in our communities. And just trying to be a mentor themselves, So it is the mentorship for me. Yeah.
what made you, so, because we're not just talking to Zakia, we talking about the Dr. Zakia, okay, in case they was wondering. What made you pursue that doctorate? Like, what pushed you to that level?
Once I got my bachelor's, I knew that I wanted to have my doctorate, or I knew that I wanted to be a doctor. I'm laughing. I did want to be a medical doctor, but then a traumatic incident happened, right? And it was like lots of blood, and the person ended up dying. I was like, oh, I can't do this. Like doing CPR on somebody and they die, that was kind of difficult. So I was like, oh, okay, well, no, you need to shift this. You need to shift it a little bit. I'm just gonna, maybe a psychiatrist or maybe a psychologist. So I did go the psychology route, but the route in which I could run programming. Because I didn't want to be front facing anymore. I wanted to build programs that brought in quality people or that molded quality people, because then you can reach more than just one. You get you a team. Now you can reach many more people and get you a quality team. Now you're reaching a lot of people and doing quality work. So that is how the doctorate came in. I knew that I wanted to run stuff, and I knew of it as time went on. I knew that I wanted to teach doctoral students. And in order to teach doctoral students, you need to have a doctorate as well. So there it goes. But I am the first doctor in my family.
Listen, that's not a small thing. Okay.
No.
You said I am the first doctor in my family. Like, we were supposed to like just let that slide. Like,
Yeah.
We gotta realize like there's some weight that comes along with that. That's major. That is an amazing achievement that will have like a generational impact for your family. So congratulations to you on that. Yeah, thank you for the example that you present, because that's amazing.
Thank you.
That's crazy. So, okay. Doorstep, I want to get a little bit deeper into it, because like, yeah, mentorship, got that piece, you're across 4 counties, but help me understand what mentorship means, and like, what type of impact are you having on the students that you work with, and what does it look like to build the relationships that you built? Like, give us a little bit more game about what Doorstep is all about.
Man, providing kids with some of the things that I had, and also providing them with some of the things, providing them the opportunity to learn about the things that they know they need. Doorstep's motto is, we have the ability to solve every problem that lands on our doorstep within our village, right? And we do have that ability. But if we're not teaching our kids, especially our young boys, for me, the boys, how to be vulnerable, how to advocate, how to communicate authentically, initially and originally, and people be like, what do you mean initially, originally? Before they blow themselves up or the situation, before they blow up the spot, or at their turns, before they fumble their bag. How do you advocate to your teacher, Mr. Johnson, when you come through the aisles and you touch on us, I don't like to be touched. Maybe they go in depth. Hey, I was abused earlier in my life and it's just a trigger for me. Or they don't go in depth, but they advocate for themselves instantly before the school year starts. So when Mr. Johnson is coming through the aisles, man, don't touch me. I don't like nobody touching me. How do you tell that after the fact? Most kids won't, because you've already embarrassed yourself. The heat is on, the suspension is now talking about how many days versus mom and dad are screaming. So you can't say, I was abused and I never told nobody. Or mom, you remember, dad, you remember that other teacher, that coach, that uncle. So teaching them initially or originally, organically, to advocate for themselves is one of the things that I like the most, where most of us just think these kids don't understand. Well, if they play the tape in their head, your parents said that about you too at a certain age, right? All of this stuff is cyclical. It's cyclical. Do you have the wherewithal, the mental capacity to kind of see what's happening in between the lines, read between the lines and see what's happening beyond the picture in front of you. Well, sometimes as adults, we can't because we're full too with work, bills, life, health, and everything else around it. So if both parties aren't communicating because of what they're going through, you have another dysfunctional home in African-American community. Add that to the other 20 houses on the block. You have a village now that's dysfunctional. Well, somewhere in there, like what she was saying, being the first doctor in her house, how about being the first ones in your family to show the rest of the family, this is how we communicate in our home. Either we talk once every other day, or we wait till the weekend and we discuss how was school this week for you. One of the things I always ask the kids, and I ask their parents, because we operate from a 2Gen approach, how's your head and how's your heart? Because those two are two different dynamics within themselves. You know, you could be confused in both or one or the other. Well, how do you move? Are you moving with love? Are you thinking? Are you working the combo, you know, of thinking first and moving with love? So we work on those skills with the boys, along with the personal stuff that they have going on individually. Every kid comes with their own different dynamic, right? But we start with that foundation of talking to them to be able to be authentic with what's going on in their head, what's going on in their heart. And when they move and make decisions, connect the two first, as opposed to just reacting. So in Doorstep, those steps will get you to the door that you want to walk through in life. And there are so many doors that we walk through in life. You know, being able to survive the hood, being able to navigate your family, trying to figure out who you are in grade school. And then that means nothing because now you got to figure out who you are in high school. And then if you were a high school athlete and everybody was screaming your name, how do you navigate the door when the lights go out and the microphone is off? And now you're a young adult. Everybody says you're grown, 18, 19, 20, 21, but you weren't taught any of those skills to be self-sufficient as an adult. So you don't even know how to go out and fill out your deposit slip at the bank. You know, it's cash app or nothing. We weren't taught these things, you know. There's too many buttons on the washer and dryer. We weren't taught these things, but yet we want to tell them they're grown and we want to put them out the house as our ancestors did, which was, in my opinion, a huge mistake. Yeah. Because a lot of kids were just thrown out there to the wolves without a knife to go hunting with. No tools sharpened, no survival skills, no instinct. Haven't even been away from home outside of a cousin's house or for the weekend, spending the night. But yet we're telling them now that you graduated, get on out there and do like I did. You know, well, those first few years for you were hell, if you remember. So why put your child through that? You know, that 18 to 21, we like to use the term emerging adults. They're emerging adults. And the way you would talk to them and work with them at that stage is different than when they were in high school. Some things remain the same, the basics. But now you got to start talking about grown stuff that you couldn't have that conversation with them when they were 15 to 16. It's a different conversation now, 18 to 21, hell, even up to 25. They're still emerging adults. They've only had so many years of somewhat independence where you're not responsible for the roof, the heat, the air, the food, and the clothes they buy. So have you taught them how to navigate when you were taking them shopping with you? You know, my dad used to sit me down with him to pay the bills. He would show me how he'd write the check. I lick the stamps of the envelopes, and I'd run to the mailbox and put them in. And he did it like clockwork. Every month, he paid all of the bills at one point, did it like clockwork. And it was about paying your bills on time, getting it done. Now what's left over, you can do other things with, those kind of things. Are the households doing that anymore? So Doorstep does a lot of different things. I'll let her speak from her perspective on some of the stuff that we do as well.
Yeah. So with the girls, I'm always letting them know that you are not your current circumstances. We work in a juvenile detention facility. You know, I run one group per week in a juvenile detention facility with teenagers. They're roughly 13 to 18 years old. And then we're also at another school, Friendship Academy. You know, I love them girls. You know, some of them look down on themselves because they feel like they're not necessarily where they want to be, or they're down because, you know, they're incarcerated. You're juvenile facility, you're in kiddie jail. Letting them see that they can do different, letting them see other people, which is me. I came from the inner city. I'm from Philly, North Philly. And, you know, it's one of the toughest places to live. But you don't have to be the way you grew up if that's not what you choose to do. You can choose to do different. You can choose to take a different path. I used to always, like, I remember growing up, I would always say, like, I would never be like my mom, right? She had a lot of kids, and that was like, nope, that's why I never wanted any children. Now I look at it as it was a strength. I want to say it's more like a strength-based thing. It used to look down on it, but now it's like, no, she did the best that she could do with what she had and what she knew. This parenting thing, I know is difficult. So how can you give me the love that you didn't feel that you received? Or how can you teach me what you were not taught or what you don't know? My goal with the girls is to learn how to advocate for yourself. If there is something that you desire or something that you want to do with your life, you have to set out a plan and then get around the right people to kind of help you navigate your plan, help you secure your plan, help you secure your ideas or give you clarity, help you find clarity. But that is, again, in addition to what, you know, my husband said, it's how do you move forward from where you are if you desire to change? You can.
Absolutely can. You absolutely can. But it's so, we are in dire need of more sources of inspiration and motivation like that, right? We are in dire need of more people who can show up and be able to have that level of conversation in a way that's going to be received because it's authentic. And so the need is there. And I think for a lot of us, like, we have the interest in being that resource. And there's a push that has to happen, right? To take us from like wanting to be the resource to actually showing up and doing what's called for. There's definitely a gap to be filled. And you know, hopefully more gaps can be filled in short order because the need is there and the need is abundant. So man, y'all keep doing your thing, keep encouraging people, keep showing up and keep making space. Because I know Deb was following up, checking in with me on a regular basis. Like, when you coming through, when the fellas coming out, when the signal's coming, when like, and making it happen. And man, I appreciate the push, and man, just keep doing it, man. That's like, y'all, you don't understand the level of admiration that I have for this work, because I don't consider myself like the youth engagement type of person. Like, that's not where I put a lot of my energy. I be trying to get these grown folks in the right mental space, so that 2-gen approach that you're taking is unique and it's powerful. And so I just want to encourage y'all to continue on that path, man, because I know it's necessary. Absolutely.
For sure.
So in all that you've been able to achieve with Doorstep and with all the other things that y'all have been doing, is there something that stands out for you as something that you have just a great amount of gratitude for? Like, man, I appreciate the fact that I was able to accomplish this thing or experience this thing.
For me,
Yeah.
marriage to this lady.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I went through a lot. You know, one of the things that my first marriage taught me is what I didn't want in a partner and in life. Going through marriage counseling, I learned about how much I had suppressed and the stuff that I've been through in my life. Stuff that I had, my brain protected me from blocking out, blocking it out and protecting me from it. So I was able to unpack a lot of stuff. And I was able to discover why I had such a short fuse. where I had a little bit of a Napoleon complex, little man syndrome a little bit. The mean streets of Chicago can do that to you. And it can keep you there if that's where you want to be, if that's where you want to stay, like similar to what she said earlier, if you choose not to. And I didn't want to be in that space. When I was going through therapy, I was replaying the tape over in my head of how I yelled at this person at this club night and this person at that event, and how I was so quick that my triggers were right here, for anybody to come up, push the button, and for me to go from 0 to 60, 0 to 1,000. So meeting her at the time where I had so much going on, having had therapy, I was able to allow her in. Where normally when she said, hey, how about I'll just come up there, spend some time with you? Because she said, the first thing she said, you sound stressed out. Those words never happened a lot in my life because I always could handle it, right? Now I'm at the point where I can allow myself to be stressed out, to be able to pull back. So at the time when she said that, I didn't get in my way. I allowed her in. I allowed her to come. I said yes. And then when I knew it was time for her to go and I didn't want her to go, I allowed myself to be vulnerable and say, do you mind staying? Would you stay? Not the cool, you can stay if you want to. I was more or less like, hey, if you don't have to go, I'd like for you to stay. And then taking her around family and then listening to family. And then that magical moment in Key West when I seen her smile before she went out to the bathroom, and I was like, you're not losing her. And I went on Facebook and told everybody, I'm marrying her right here, right now. Sorry, Philadelphia, Chicago, Minnesota, y'all not gonna get to see this wedding. I'm not leaving here without her being my wife.
Man.
That is what happened, right? Oh man, what am I grateful for? The different people along the journey. You attract the people that you need when you're open to attracting them. Yeah. I was a person that never accepted help, or not necessarily never accepted support. I felt like I never needed anybody. But we all need somebody to fall back on, somebody to bounce ideas off of. I usually figure things out on my own. So it's never wanting to be a burden on anybody, but also changing the mindset of it is not a burden when sometimes you need support. You need your village, you need your network. Utilize your network. Allow them to support you, because more often than not, you run into people that actually want to support you, but they don't know how. And part of that is you not letting them in. Whether it's emotionally, mentally, or even physically, not letting them people in. So I want to say I have opened up a lot to allowing support and allowing, because I would always get encouragement, but actually allowing the support, allowing people to do. Yeah, for me. So I'm grateful for that.
Okay. I love it. All right. So, time's getting away from us. Listen, before we wrap up, Pancakes from Scratch, this whole idea, I've been wrestling with this concept of how culture and food and ambition intersect, right? So when you think about, when we create spaces as a people, it's gonna be food involved, right? And then when we get the food together, we get the meal together, and like that, all of that speaks to the culture that we experience, but it also has an impact on who we are and how we develop the aspirations that come to us. So there's something there, man. I'm still like massaging the idea and trying to wrap my mind around it. But all that to say, I'm curious to know, do y'all have like a favorite food that y'all, because y'all be on the move, first of all, y'all stay wheels up, okay? I can't keep but like, feel me, like, where do y'all go? What do you have that's like, nah, this is where we like to eat, or this is our favorite meal?
Well, We're foodies, so we love all different kinds of food. So we're gonna try everything once.
Okay.
We have spots that we call home. Breakfast Bar, Gold Room, Billy's on Grand, soon to be called the Grand. Each one of those spots has something that we go there just for, you know. One of those spots, I happen to have a drink named after me. You know,
Hey.
one of those spots. And then all of those spots.
I have a drink.
You know, imagine that. I don't know how that
Right.
happened. You know, I got to talk to the boss. So, again, we have our favorite things at each spot that we go to regularly. And plus the fact that there are businesses of color, African-American businesses to be exact, we make sure we frequent those, take a picture, check in, selfie, comment. If we can have a meeting there, we're going to, because it's our duty as a culture to bring people to those spaces, to those places, and let them see what we enjoy. And then let them find, as they look at the menu, find your own thing on that menu, but bring others, because that's how we keep our institutions alive and well, healthy, you know. Yeah.
Look, I'm like thinking, depending on what mood we're in. Depending on the mood we're in, depends on where we go.
I got
Where did we go like last week? Last week we went to Breakfast Bar. I always eat the chicken and waffles. And it's bad because the last time we were there, this Thursday, the waitress was like, chicken and waffles? I was like, ha, French toast and waffles. And bring me my cranberry mimosa with a splash of Grand Marnier. But it was hilarious because she was just like, chicken and waffles?
And she's only served us twice, but she already got her down. I'll switch up a little bit there at Breakfast Bar because there's a couple of things on the menu. And then I'll go out to the patio and smoke a cigar. You know, one of the things we did to support Breakfast Bar, they started their membership for adults, and we bought a membership to support Jeff and the team down there. Billy's, we love the tacos. She loved the chicken tenders over there. That's where they have a Debonaire's punch at. Gold Room, it was a little bit of everything. At first, it was the lamb chops for me. It was the beef tenders for her, tenderloins for her, which they're bringing back now. Good for them. The brunch on Sundays early for the adult time frame. You know, so yeah, we have those. Monte Carlo for the wings, of course, you know, staple in the Twin Cities. A sister named Jamie has a brunch on Saturdays that the wife loves to frequent and go down to. So we definitely support our businesses of color, our African-American business, whether they own it or whether they're just duplicating the night with their menu to be able to get their thing going. We do that. So, but food-wise, we eat a little bit of everything.
I love it, man.
I love it. I just took it to Amazing Thailand the other day for the first time, and you know,
yeah, it was good. It was good. I was surprised.
Long-standing spot here in the Twin Cities. Great.
They set it up. They do it. And listen, first time I had Amazing Thailand, I had like, that was my introduction to Thai food. I wasn't even familiar like with how they get down. Man, when I tell you I had a mango, pineapple, some curry situation, it was crazy. But I think we overlook the value of those experiences, man, because it's not just about the food. Like, oh, the food it tastes good, it's great. But to your point, like, it's about the environment.
Right.
It's about the experience that we have.
The conversation, the time away. It's a great space to talk business over. It's also a great space for a husband and wife to just connect and talk about a little bit of everything, business, personal pleasure. It's a great space. All of those, but food is a great gathering for people. It's one of the reasons why I'm in entertainment. I tell people all the time, don't think of it as just a party shaking your butt. It's a time for you to come out and release from the long work week you've had and stuff in your personal life. Because come Monday, it all starts all over again from a work perspective. When you leave here at home and personally, it's still there. It's not going anywhere. So we got to have balance. You got to have a work-life balance. And one of the reasons why we do the entertainment thing, I know for me especially, one, I was born into it. Two, I was drawn to it as a labor of love from day one, and I'm still here in the game effectively. So I'm gonna walk away in the sunset the way I want to with, I don't know how many rings, but you know, I'm gonna walk away from the game the way I see fit, not being pushed out to the fact that I'm irrelevant and still trying to throw parties with 5 people in there. Nah, I'm gonna walk away. When we hang it up, we're gonna hang it up, you know, on my terms, on our terms, because this is my wonderful wife and she's my partner in all that aspect of it. Because, you know, first Friday, she's typing up the list, she's getting the girls, our door host, girls instructions, she's meeting and greeting people. She has to deal with when I gotta we're in the bed, and then 10:30, 11 o'clock, I gotta go and close or make an appearance at one of our nights, not to be back home to 2:30 in the morning, starting it all over again the next day. For example, last week, it was Thursday at one of our joints, it was first Fridays, and then it was Saturday where I have, you know, the thing at Billy's, and I had a food truck thing during the day, which I didn't make it there Saturday night, which was cool. And we chilled all day yesterday here in the house. Did we even leave the house yesterday? Briefly. We went to friend's house to go get some Easter dinner and pick up the car. That was left there from Saturday. But you know, we have those things going on. Kids during the day, adults at night.
That's it. Yes, 100%, man. Wow. Listen, y'all the truth, man. Y'all the truth and a half. I want you to know that you are very much appreciated and just a huge inspiration to so many people. And I know I'm speaking for far more than just myself. And thank you, right? On behalf of everybody that you've had an impact on. We appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. Now listen, I would be remiss if I failed to call out the way that Debonaire, you inspired me and so many others with the passing of your daughter. But she got her wings, man, and a lesser man like myself likely would have gone into myself and not been able to recover from a situation like that. And we were able to watch you show up and call the community together to acknowledge her life. And of course, she had so many people that loved her and showed up for her and showed up to support you. And I remember seeing the purple balloons flying, man. And brother, the way that experience, your thriving and your survival of that experience has touched a lot of hearts, and certainly mine. Bro, something I can never thank you enough for, to be able to see that. So, man, when I say thank you, please know that it comes from a very real place, bro.
I appreciate it, man.
Love y'all, man.
Love you back.
Please keep doing your thing. All right. We'll talk soon. Y'all be good. All right.
Thank you.
Tell the wife we said hi.